Hi, I'm Stephen. This week's edition comes from the passage in the Our Daily Bread devotional for Monday the 25th of March. Sometimes I find it easier to connect with passages in the Bible when I can picture them in my mind. For example, if I'm reading about Jesus teaching a crowd, I will try and imagine what it must have been like to stand there and listen to him. How would I react to his words? How do people in the crowd next to me react? So as we journey together exploring different ways to engage with the Bible, today we're going to try using our God-given imagination to picture moments in the passage. We're not trying to make things up about the passage, but use the details and images the passage gives us to help us imagine ourselves into it. So first, let's read the passage together. It's Matthew 25, starting at verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will gather before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right, and the goats on his left. And then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world." So the scene is set for us. It's a royal throne room kind of scene, and we hear the voice of the Son of Man. That's another name for Jesus. And he's calling out this astonishing invitation. He's inviting people to come forward and receive the gift of the kingdom of God, prepared for them since the creation of the world. And then the scene continues. Jesus says in verse 35, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Jesus reveals that when these people, the righteous people as they're described in the passage, serve the needy, they were actually doing it for Jesus, not just the needy. And as the scene unfolds, I'm drawn to wonder what these people's reactions are. Because there's a moment where they seem surprised to hear what Jesus says. Have you noticed that? Verse 37, "Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?'" And Jesus responds to their question, basically repeating what he's already said. Verse 40, "The king will reply, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.'" I wonder if their question, I wonder if their reaction, their surprise, their shock at Jesus' word actually reveals something about these people and their character. When I picture them in my mind, I imagine humble, unassuming types, the quiet servers who just get on with the task. The kinds of people who serve generously whether the higher-ups are watching or not. They didn't realize they were serving Jesus, but they served anyway. So when Jesus singles out these kinds of people, I imagine they might step forward thinking, is he really speaking to us? Is he really inviting me? I wonder if they're like a child who can't quite believe the present is really for them. As you picture these people stepping forward to accept Jesus' invitation, what do you picture? What would you feel or think if Jesus calls you to come forward and receive his gift of the kingdom of God? We hope what we've done has helped to engage us with this passage in a fresh way. As we picture how people might react, as we put ourselves in their shoes, it might help us to understand the passage and reflect on how we'd react to Jesus' words. It might just help us hear the Lord's message to us today afresh. God's gifted each of us with an imagination to help us understand what he's like. The psalmists were using their imaginations when they described God as a rock or as a fortress or as a shield. They were using their imaginative, creative minds to find ways of describing what God is like. And God blesses us with the same kinds of imagination to grasp what he's saying to us through his words. So this week, give this a go for yourself. Take a different passage from Matthew's Gospel and actively engage your imagination. Try putting yourself into the story. Ask the Lord to lead your thoughts, and you might be surprised what you learn about him doing it this way. We'll see you soon.